I'm here today to talk about the new Santa Cruz Heckler, the brand's first e-bike. Some people might say Santa Cruz were a little late to bring an e-bike out, but the brand tell us they had not too much enthusiasm from in the company. That was until Roskop, the founder, started testing them, and there was a slight push from their athletes. Santa Cruz spent 3 years developing the new bike. Todd Ford, the project manager, told us they tested a load of other e-bikes, really kind of went out and rode it as much as they could to see if they could get the most fun and agile bike. Why the rebirth of the Heckler? Well, the original Heckler was released in 1996 and was designed to elevate the rider's trail experience. Santa Cruz are hoping the new Heckler will do just the same thing. So like I said, Santa Cruz's goal was to make a really fun, agile and playful e-bike, and one of the lightest on the market. They did this by focusing on their Bronson, their 27.5-inch trail bike. So just like the Bronson, the new Heckler has 150 mm of rear travel, 160 fork, and comes with a 65-degree head angle. They've managed to keep the wheelbase as small as possible by using that smaller rear wheel and shortening the chainstays to a 445 mm length. It's as short as they could get them. There are 4 models in the Heckler lineup. Each one of these models uses Santa Cruz's top-end CC carbon fiber. That's a higher grade fiber that produces the same strength and stiffness as their carbon C, but for a lower weight. This carbon CC is used in the whole frame, top to bottom, front to back. The only metal in the frame is for the battery mounts and the threaded inserts for the drive unit. Santa Cruz believe keeping a full carbon frame reduces the number of stress risers where there's a metal carbon bond. Another one of Santa Cruz's goals was to keep the bike as clean and clutter-free as possible. That means there's internal cable routing in the down tube, which is accessible by removing the battery with a single former Allen key. To also help keep the bike looking as clean as possible, Santa Cruz have developed a new Di2 compatible handlebar with a hole and groove under the grips so you can thread the cable internally to hide any Di2 or display and remote cables. It's only spec'd on the S model and above. The lower spec R model comes with a race face handlebar. Due to the extra weight of the motor and battery, Santa Cruz have actually beefed up the frame's hardware. The radial bearings and pivot inserts are a bit chunkier, that just allows them to have a slightly stiffer chassis. The Heckler uses SRAM's Eagle Groupset across all its models. Interestingly, at Sea Otter last year, SRAM announced that all of their Eagle components were e-bike compatible. Santa Cruz have been one of the first brands to take advantage of this. Santa Cruz used their new 27.5 downhill reserve wheel on the rear. This helps increase the stiffness and is slightly stronger than the normal reserve 30 that is on the front. It includes 32 spokes and a 31 mm internal width. These wheels are fitted with Maxxis DHR2 2.6 tyres, and it's nice to see that they come set up tubeless already and use the stronger Exo Plus casing. After testing several different brands, Santa Cruz decided to settle on using the Shimano E8000 system with their integrated battery, display and drive unit. The Shimano integrated battery has a 504 watt-hour capacity. They claim this is going to be suitable for most people's riding. While it's not the largest battery out there, it means the weight is a little bit lighter when trying to get that agile and playful feeling of the bike they're after. Shimano's E8000 motor produces 250 watts and has a torque of 70 Newton meters. It's not the most powerful out there, but I didn't notice any problems on the climbs. So the battery is easily removable with just a formal Allen key, and if you want to extend the range, it's best to take a spare battery with you in your backpack. Weighing about 2.9 kilos, Santa Cruz say is not that heavy an extra addition to carry around. With the geometry, Santa Cruz wanted to create as playful and as fun bike as possible. On the trail, it's a real fun and poppy bike to ride, even though it's a 20 kilo e-bike. The size medium iRoad comes with a 445 mm reach. One characteristic that helps the Santa Cruz's agility is its low front end. I personally like this as it helped make the steering really direct. If you're after a taller front end though, it might get hard to set up on the new Heckler. One last geometry detail that Santa Cruz is really pleased about is they steepened the seat tube angle. The effective seat tube on the medium iRoad was 76.2 degrees, which allows you to sit comfortably between the wheels when climbing and helps keep you balanced when the trails get steep. You can still sit down and find grip on the rear tyre. To test this bike, I was hosted just outside Pisa in Italy. While the weather was very wet, there was a great mix of technical climbs and descents to really try and put the new Heckler through its paces. For climbing, as stated previously, I feel Shimano's motor is plenty powerful enough, especially in boost mode. If you're going around tighter, more technical turns, a little control of the back brake can give you a load more stability and actually help you find traction. Cruising along in eco mode up the double tracks of fire roads, there's still plenty of assistance. And as Shimano and Santa Cruz have told us, having a higher cadence on this motor actually gets the most efficiency from it. This comes with a slight caveat though, as when pedaling over technical rocky terrain, a higher cadence increases your risk of pedal strikes. When descending on this bike, it's actually quite hard to fault. The 150mm of travel works really well, and the lower anti-squat values really help it stay glued to the floor. That and the extra weight. While Santa Cruz have achieved their goal of making a fun e-bike, if you're looking for a more aggressive and stable e-bike, the Heckler probably isn't for you. That being said, the Heckler can thrash down some rough terrain, although you will find the limits of its 150mm suspension if you're hitting bigger drops. I rode the size medium X01 RSV model. I only have a claimed weight for the XX1 RSV model in size small, and that comes in at 20.8 kilos. Santa Cruz are a premium brand, and as such, the prices reflect this. The Heckler X01 RSV comes in at £9,999, $10,899 US, or 11,199 euros. This is obviously a huge amount of money. When pressed about this, Santa Cruz say you'll notice this in the suspension kinematics and the ride feel of their bike, which really sets it apart and makes it worth splashing out for. While I can agree this is a really fun bike to ride, it's still very hard to justify paying £10,000 on such an expensive e-bike. To conclude, I can say the new Santa Cruz Heckler is a really fun bike to ride. It's very capable, very playful. Santa Cruz have really hit the mark they were trying to go for. However, there are limitations. If you're using the motor as your personal uplift, the Heckler isn't most suited to smashing downhill runs. Santa Cruz makes some of the coolest bikes out there, and image is a big part of their brand. Could this mean that Santa Cruz's first e-bike sways some of the e-bike haters? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah,